Hey everyone, Shane here with etrailer.com. Today I have a 2020 Tesla Model Y. I'm going to walk through how to install the EcoHitch. EcoHitch is going to be a completely hidden design, which means it's going to stay completely hidden behind our fascia when we're not using it. We're going to have a panel down here on the bottom, and when we're ready to use it, we simply slide it out and it gives us access to our receiver tube. Our receiver tube opening is going to be a 2" by 2". So it's going to accommodate pretty much just about any, or it's going to be the most common of your receiver tube openings. It's going to fit a lot of different accessories. Hitch pinhole here on the side is going to be 5/8 inch in diameter. It's going to take a standard 5/8 hitch pin. Hitch pin and clip does not come with a hitch, however they can be found here at eTrailer as well. Safety chain loops are going to be up inside here. They're going to be welded on the hitch. Very large openings that will accommodate some of the larger size safety chain hooks. The hitch itself is going to be constructed or combined with recycled materials, which are aluminum, steel, and stainless steel. It's going to have a nice thick black powder coat finish. It's really going to help resist any rust or corrosion. Now when adding a hitch onto the Tesla Model Y, this hitch is going to be the only hitch available for this vehicle at this time. But as I mentioned, having the 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, it's going to accommodate a lot of different hitch mount accessories. It's actually going to be the most common. Why would we want to put a hitch like this on our vehicle? Maybe we want to do some light towing. Maybe we want to put a bike rack on because we're tired of putting the bikes inside the vehicle. We want to make it a little bit easier to load and unload the bikes. Maybe we don't want to put a bike rack up on top. Adding a hitch on is going to allow us to put a bike rack on the back and make it a little bit easier. Maybe we want to take a cargo carrier, get some room, some items from inside, put them outside, make a little bit more room for our passengers. Now your Tesla Model Y is going to have a knockout panel. It's going to look like this. The hitch is actually going to come with this bracket. It's going to have a very heavy-duty magnet on it. So when you're not towing, you simply slide this into place, into the receiver tube, and it holds that panel in place. This bracket here, if you notice, it actually has the cutout design of the Tesla, or very similar to the Tesla design. So I think it fits the vehicle really nicely. It holds that panel in place again when we're not using our hitch. It also acts as a handle that we can grab onto it and remove this when we're ready to tow. Now as far as our weight capacities and measurements go, weight capacities, we're going to have a 350 pound max ton weight. That's the downward pressure on the inside of the receiver tube. So when you're putting a cargo carrier on, bike rack, anything like that, pulling a trailer, you're going to make sure you're not exceeding that. We're going to have a 3,500 pound gross trailer weight, which is a trailer plus the load included. That's how much the hitch can pull. Always recommend checking the owner's manual. Make sure the vehicle can withstand the amount of weight. You're going to go with the lowest number between the vehicle and the hitch. Now, Tesla has not come out with a tow capacity for these vehicles in the US as of this time. What I recommend doing is contacting the manufacturer, make sure whatever you're pulling, that the vehicle is capable of handling it. As far as measurements go, from the center of our hitch pinhole to the outermost part of our bumper fascia, we're looking at about 5 inches. That number is important for any of your hitch mount accessories that may fold up, like your bike racks and cargo carriers. You're going to make sure they're not going to make contact. From the ground to the top innermost part of our receiver tube, you're looking at about 15 inches. That number is important for any of your hitch mount accessories that may require a little bit more ground clearance. Now there are a few other items that I would recommend picking up when you add your hitch onto your vehicle. That's going to be a ball mount, a hitch lock, and a hitch cover. You can buy each one of those components separate, or you can buy them as a kit. Kurt makes a great kit. It's the starter tow kit. It's going to come with the ball, 2" ball, which is going to be your most common for towing a trailer. Your ball mount It's going to come with your hitch lock and your hitch cover. Now, obviously the hitch cover, you don't necessarily, probably are not going to use it on this vehicle because it comes with this magnet that allows you to cover your receiver tube opening. However, if you have another vehicle that has a hitch on it, that has a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, you can use that cover there. Or you can put it on here if you decide you didn't want to put this cover back in place. The other thing I do recommend is wiring. There are 2 types of wiring that are available for this vehicle. Out of the 2 sets, I recommend ZCI. It's going to be the easiest to install, and it doesn't require you to tap into the factory wiring. As far as the installation process on the hitch, pretty simple and straightforward. It's not really as hard as it looks. Now that we've gone over some of the features, walk you through how to get it installed. Start your installation. We're going to open the trunk. We're going to remove our threshold. All we're going to do is start on one side. We're just going to pull up on it. Then right at the bottom corner, we're going to have a push pin fastener. We're going to pop up the center and then remove it. We'll have one of these on each side. Then on the top of our taillight, we're going to have this little bumper here. We just need to work a trim panel tool around it and pry it up. We're going to have one on each light we need to remove. Next, we need to get in behind this panel to take 2 nuts off that are holding our taillight in place. What I found was there's not a whole lot of room if you go to pull this panel out to get back in there to do it. So if you come down here, we pull this piece up on each side. We're going to take this center push pin fastener out. This is the same way as the other ones. And then this end will pop up and this end will pop up. We'll slide this out. And then we can take this, and this will give us a little bit more room to work. What we need to access is this nut, and there's one right here. We need to reach back and disconnect our wiring. There's a red tab here. Take our trim panel tool, we're going to push it out. It's just a lock for the wiring. Disconnect the wiring, set that aside, then repeat the process on the other side of the vehicle. We need to remove the 10mm bolt holding right at the top corner underneath our taillight. It's on our fascia. We're going to have one on each side. And each wheel well behind the tire, we're going to have 2 push pin fasteners we need to remove. Once you get one side done, repeat the process on the other. And we're going to come to this trim piece here. We need to pop it out. If you can, and try to pull on it this way. Seems to be a little bit difficult that way. If you take a plastic trim panel tool, come in right on this edge. Once you get one, the rest of them will pop out pretty easy. We only want to go up to about the 3rd one up. We need to get access to this bolt right here. Now what I recommend is taking some painter's tape. We're going to tape this edge, and these 2 edges. Once you get one side done, repeat it on the other side, and we're going to go underneath and remove some fasteners. 10mm socket, we're going to remove the bolts that run right along this edge that this panel mounts to our rear fascia. And we'll take a trim panel tool, we're going to remove all the push pin fasteners. Next, we're going to start removing our fascia. It's a good idea to have an extra set of hands. If you don't, take the box that your hitch comes in, slide it underneath the edge of your fascia. We're going to start on one side. I'm going to start on the driver's side here and work my way to the center, and we'll do the same thing on the passenger side. Keep in mind, once we get it loose, we don't just want to pull it off. There's going to be a plug on the passenger side underneath the fascia that we're going to have to disconnect. is going to be your fastener right here. Red tab. Push up. And we'll just push down on the black one that disconnected. And then we can set our fascia aside somewhere safe. On our passenger side here, our sensor bar, we're going to pop this fastener out. We'll just let that hang. 10mm socket, we're going to move the 4 bolts holding our sensor bar in place. On the driver's side, right down in this corner where this wiring runs in, I'm actually going to pop this fastener out. $10mm bolt here in the center that's holding this little panel in place. I'm going to slide that off, we'll let it hang. And we're going to have a couple fasteners attached to our bar here. We'll pop them off and then we're going to remove the bar. Remove the bar, we'll set it aside. 15mm socket, we're going to move this nut and we're going to have 2 on the bottom. We're going to have 3 on each side. We'll remove the bumper beam, we'll set it down. We're going to have 3 nuts on the inside we need to remove. We need to remove the bracket from the bumper beam. On the passenger side bracket on the bottom, we're going to take a 13mm socket, we're going to remove that bolt. This bolt will not be reinstalled. Next, we're going to lay our hitch down. We're going to take our cross member, we're going to lay it over the studs on our hitch. Once we get our cross member in place, we're going to reinstall the factory nuts. To make it easy to get the nuts installed, take a paper towel over top of your socket, take the nut and push it down in there. And then once we get each one threaded on, we can come back and tighten everything up. And then torque our hardware to the specifications and the instructions. We're going to flip our beam over. On our passenger side, we're going to have a threaded stud here, our weld nut. We're going to take this bolt with a flat washer, this spacer that comes in your kit. We're going to slide this right in here. We're going to put a flat washer on our bolt here. And once we get this lined up, we're going to thread the bolt down into place, tighten it, and then torque it to the specifications and instructions. You're going to get 6 nylon fender washers. The studs that are on the vehicle, the bottom 2, we're going to put 1 on the inside one, 2 on the outside one. We're going to do this on each side. We'll take our bumper beam and our receiver. We're going to slide it into place. I'll go ahead and install the factory hardware that we removed earlier on. Next, we're going to center our hitch, and then we're going to come back and we're going to tighten and then torque our hardware to the specifications and the instructions. On a rear fascia, we need to remove this knockout panel. These little tabs, you just work your way around, push on these, and just feed it out. Once you get that removed, we can go ahead and reinstall our sensor bar and then reinstall our fascia in reverse order from the way we took it off. Next, we need to take our panel, make sure we have the top side. On the inside of it, there's going to be a bunch of little squares. We need to find the center. Then we're going to go over 3 holes, or 3 squares on each side, put a mark in the center. If you measure those should be 4 1/8 inch apart. We're going to take a 1/4 inch drill bit, we're going to drill a hole into each one of those. Next, all these tabs that are sticking up, we need to cut them off and use a rotary tool. A blade would probably work. Plastic's pretty thin. Just like that. Next, we're going to take this bracket You're gonna have some Allen head bolts. Put one in each of the holes. On the back side, you're gonna have a little spacer. It's gonna go in like that. We're gonna go into the hole on our panel that we just drilled. We'll take this bracket. We're gonna put a flat washer on each one of the bolts. Nylon lock. You're gonna have a magnet. Phillips head bolt. Gonna go in one side. It's gonna go on the end of this bracket. On the inside, put a flat washer and a nut. And we can come back and tighten all that down. Once you have your panel back in place, you're ready to go. It's going to do it for a look at and installation of the EcoHitch on a 2020 Tesla Model Y.